Welcome to this special PlacidWay Pulse edition of our deep dive. I'm so glad we're tackling this today because, honestly, the topic is just so relevant for so many people right now.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I mean, it's a conversation that needs to happen, especially with the way things are shifting globally.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to start by just painting a picture for everyone listening because, it is a highly relatable scenario.
Right.
Imagine it's like 2 in the morning. The glow of your monitor is literally the only light in the room.
Oh, I've been there. We've all been there.
Right. And you are just staring at dozens of open browser tabs. You're trying to research medical treatments abroad.
Because the domestic options are just, well, they're not working for you.
Exactly. You're looking for a solution that actually fits your needs and, your budget. But instead of getting clarity, you just feel incredibly overwhelmed.
It's just a raw data dump of the internet, yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to cross-reference doctors, figure out foreign geography, read these super confusing reviews, all while carrying the stress of your actual health condition.
Which is the most important part. Making a major medical decision is stressful enough on its own.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Doing it alone is it's like trying to assemble really complex furniture in the dark.
Without a manual.
Yes, without a manual. It's frustrating, it's risky, and honestly, it is completely unnecessary.
It really is. You're adding international logistics to an already incredibly heavy emotional burden.
Right. Which brings us to the core mission of today's deep dive. We are answering 2 main questions today.
The big ones.
Yep. Why should you travel to Colombia for medical treatment? And why should you use PlacidWay to do it?
Because we really need to cut through that 2 a.m. noise. We're going to talk about why Colombia is just this rising star in healthcare.
It's wild how fast it's growing.
It is, and we'll get into what procedures actually make sense to explore there and how a specific platform gives you that roadmap you so desperately need.
So let's just jump right into redefining Colombia as a global healthcare destination. Because, to understand why we're talking about Colombia instead of just traditional domestic healthcare, we have to look at the transformation.
Oh, it's been rapid. It is completely transformed into a medical powerhouse over the last few decades.
Let's lay out the data from the sources, because the numbers are kind of staggering.
Yeah, the foundational facts are pretty undeniable. Right now, Colombia's medical tourism market is valued at over $235 million.
Wow. $235 million.
And it is growing by about 15% annually. People are figuring it out.
That's a massive influx of patients. But the statistic that really jumped out at me, the one we really need to unpack, is the World Health Organization ranking.
Ah, yes. The WHO metrics.
Because the WHO ranks Colombia's healthcare system 22nd globally.
Yeah.
And they rank it the absolute best in Latin America.
It's an incredible achievement.
But wait, it gets crazier. That ranking of 22nd, that actually surpasses the overall efficiency of the United States and Canada.
Which really shocks a lot of North American patients when they first hear it.
Right. So, okay, let's unpack this because I have to push back a little here on behalf of the listener.
Sure, go for it.
Many people listening probably assume that traveling abroad for care is purely about finding the cheapest option.
The whole budget surgery myth, right?
Yeah. There's this persistent, ingrained myth that lower cost automatically means lower quality. So if Colombia outranks the U.S. in efficiency, how do we reconcile the cost difference?
It's a great question. We have to separate the economics from the actual clinical care. The myth is just false.
Okay, break that down for us.
So patients are often seeing estimated savings of like 40 to 70% on procedures compared to North America.
Which is a huge difference. I mean, that's tens of thousands of dollars.
Exactly. But those lower costs are driven by a lower cost of living and really favorable exchange rates. They are not driven by cutting corners on medical safety.
So it's literally just the macroeconomic environment.
100%. Actually, Colombian clinics frequently feature newer equipment than your average U.S. community hospital.
Wait, really? Newer equipment?
Oh, yeah. Because they are attracting so much international capital, they reinvest it into state-of-the-art tech and the doctors. Many of these specialists are board certified with extensive U.S. or European training.
So they go to, like, Spain or the U.S., get their fellowships, and then bring that expertise back to Colombia.
Exactly. You are getting world-class expertise without the administrative bloat that inflates U.S. medical bills.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But beyond the tech and the training, the sources highlight this deeply human element.
Yes, the concept of calidez.
Calidez, Colombian hospitality. And I find this so fascinating because, well, tell us how this compares to what we're used to in the West.
Well, think about your typical doctor's visit here. It's usually a rushed, maybe 10-minute consultation.
Oh, if you're lucky. Usually they're just staring at a laptop, typing notes.
Exactly. It's highly transactional. But in Colombia, the doctors are renowned for spending extensive time with their patients.
So it's not just a quick in and out.
Not at all. They really focus on a human-centric approach. They explain things, they listen. It transforms what could be this cold clinical procedure into a genuinely supportive, emotional healing journey.
And that has actual physiological benefits, right? If you're less stressed, you heal better.
Oh, absolutely. Lower stress means lower cortisol, which directly improves wound healing and recovery.
That is just incredible. So knowing that the quality is top tier naturally leads to the next big question.
What are people actually flying down there to get done?
Exactly. What specific treatments are international patients actually seeking out when they land in Colombia?
It's a surprisingly wide spectrum of treatments. It's not just one thing anymore.
Let's run through some of the most popular categories. I know plastic surgery is a huge one.
Massive. Things like rhinoplasty, tummy tucks, mommy makeovers. They have some of the best aesthetic surgeons in the world.
And what about dental? I saw that in the sources too.
Yes, extensive dental care. I'm talking full mouth restorations, titanium implants, things that would cost a fortune or have huge waiting lists back home.
Right. And then there's bariatric surgery like the gastric sleeve.
Which is very popular, along with fertility treatments like IVF.
Oh, wow. IVF too.
Yeah, and even complex orthopedics, like
Yeah.
we're talking robotic knee surgery, plus cutting-edge wellness options like stem cell therapy.
That is a massive range of specialties. And here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because all these specialties aren't just crammed into one city. Colombia's medical tourism infrastructure is kind of like, well, it's like a massive university campus.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right, where each city is highly specialized in a different major.
Oh,
You wouldn't
yeah.
go to the engineering building for a literature class.
Exactly. You have to map the specialties to the right destination. Let's start with Bogota.
The capital, what's their major?
Bogota is the capital for high-complexity surgeries. If you need advanced neurosurgery or major orthopedics, that's where you go.
Because they have the massive hospital infrastructure, the heavy ICUs.
Precisely. They have the multidisciplinary teams required for those really heavy interventions.
Okay, so that's Bogota. But then you have Medellin, which is famous as the City of Eternal Spring.
Yes, the climate there is amazing. And Medellin is known as a global capital for aesthetic plastic surgery, dentistry, and wellness.
And the climate actually helps with recovery, right?
Oh, huge factor. The mild weather reduces post-operative swelling and makes recovery so much more comfortable for plastic surgery patients.
That is so smart.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Bucaramanga? I have to admit, I didn't know much about Bucaramanga before this deep dive.
A lot of people don't, but it is world-renowned for complex cardiac care and cardiovascular medicine.
Wow, heart surgery.
Yeah, they have these incredible free trade zones for healthcare equipment, which means they have access to the absolute latest cardiovascular tech from around the world.
That's amazing. And then finally, we have Cali and Cartagena on the coast.
Right. Cali is this massive hub for body contouring, highly specialized surgeons there.
And Cartagena.
Cartagena is brilliant for a mix of minor procedures like dental work, combined with the relaxing coastal vacation recovery.
But there are rules about flying after major surgery, right?
Yes, definitely. For major surgeries, you have to stay put for a while to avoid risks like deep vein thrombosis. That's why Cartagena is better for minor interventions if you want that beach vibe.
Okay, so to ground all this, the sources mentioned some really compelling real-world stories.
Yeah, the patient stories are what really make this concrete.
Like the patient from Canada who was facing a 2-year waiting list for knee surgery.
2 years is just unacceptable when you're in pain. So that patient flew to Bogota, got the surgery done almost immediately, and avoided 2 years of suffering.
And there was another one about a U.S. patient getting dental implants in Medellin.
Right, and they actually noted that the Colombian clinics felt cleaner and more technologically advanced than their local dental office back home.
Which perfectly busts that myth we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's high-tech, high-touch.
So with so many incredible cities and all these specialties, I can easily see how the sheer volume of options can trigger that initial feeling of overwhelm again.
Oh, for sure. You look at a map and think, well, where do I even begin?
Right. How does a patient actually vet a provider safely? Think about it. You ask a dozen questions before booking a simple hotel room for a weekend.
Does it have Wi-Fi? Is there a pool? Right.
Exactly. So what are the equivalent must-asks when you're literally booking a surgery abroad?
Well, the vetting process has to be rigorous. You need to look for the gold standards of accreditation.
Okay, what is the absolute top-tier thing to look for?
First and foremost is JCI accreditation. That stands for Joint Commission International.
GCI. Why is that the gold standard?
Because it is the ultimate measure for global healthcare and patient safety. It's a brutal audit. They don't just hand those out.
So it's not just a badge you buy online.
No, absolutely not. They send teams to inspect everything from infection control to surgical protocols. If a clinic has JCI, you are in very safe hands.
Okay, JCI is number one. What else?
Patients should also look for ISO certifications, which measure quality management systems.
Got it. And what about the individual doctors?
You have to ensure the specialist is board certified by relevant medical boards. For instance, in plastic surgery, look for the SECP.
The Colombian Society of Plastic Surgery.
Exactly. You want a verified, specialized surgeon, not just a general practitioner attempting complex work.
That makes total sense. Now, what about the financial side? Because surprise medical bills are like a uniquely terrifying part of the American system.
Oh, the hidden fees are a nightmare, which is why patients must always ask for an all-inclusive quote.
All-inclusive, like a resort, but for surgery.
Pretty much. You have to ensure the quote explicitly covers the surgeon fees, the anesthesia, the facility costs, and crucially, any post-operative garments or recovery support.
Right, because you don't want to wake up and find out the anesthesiologist was out of network.
Exactly. Everything needs to be in writing up front. And the last thing on the vetting checklist is location and logistics.
Meaning where the actual surgery happens.
Yes. You must verify that the surgery takes place in a fully accredited clinic or hospital.
So no minor procedures in a doctor's private office if it requires real anesthesia.
Never. You always want the safety net of a full hospital setting in case anything unexpected happens.
Okay, so taking all those strict requirements, finding JCI accreditation, ensuring all-inclusive quotes, matching the right city to the right procedure, this is exactly what causes patients to just give up when they're doing it alone.
It is a massive administrative burden. It's too much for one person to filter through manually.
Which is where the solution comes in, the antidote to the overwhelm.
Enter PlacidWay.
Exactly. Instead of searching alone, start with PlacidWay.com.
It fundamentally changes how you approach this whole process.
Because PlacidWay acts as a bridge, right? It does the heavy lifting by aggregating these top-rated clinics and all this transparent information into one accessible place.
Yeah, PlacidWay helps patients compare clinics, destinations, treatment packages, and provider details, all in a structured format.
So how does that practically work for the listener? If I go on there, what am I actually looking at?
Well, the platform allows you to look at doctor credentials, read about their background, and view verified facility photos.
So I don't need to be an expert in Colombian healthcare regulations to find someone safe.
Exactly. You don't have to navigate foreign medical registries yourself. The platform curates the options.
That is such a psychological relief. Because PlacidWay gives patients a clearer starting point when exploring medical tourism in Colombia.
It really creates this sort of safety bubble. It filters out the noise.
So you avoid those budget traps and the people cutting corners. You're only looking at reputable, vetted providers.
Exactly. It removes the chaotic variable from your research.
Okay, so now that the listener knows they don't have to navigate this unorganized internet data dump alone, what is the actual literal next step they should take today?
Well, the next smart step is all about getting personalized information. Patients can request a personalized quote through PlacidWay.
And how does that digital consultation process work? Is it complicated?
Not at all. It's incredibly straightforward. You connect with the coordinator, share your medical history, your goals, maybe upload some imaging if you have it.
Like x-rays or MRI scans.
Right. And based on that, you get a preliminary treatment plan and a cost estimate.
All without leaving your living room.
Exactly. You get real data tailored to your specific body and needs.
So what does this all mean for the patient sitting at home right now? It means requesting a quote is the smartest, most practical move because it costs nothing.
Zero costs, zero obligation.
It carries no obligation, and it instantly transforms all this abstract internet research into a real, personalized conversation with an international patient coordinator.
It demystifies the entire process. You move from guessing to knowing.
But we should set some expectations here too, right? Because we want to be totally objective.
Absolutely. Transparency is key. While PlacidWay connects you to incredible care, they don't make scary guarantees or overpromise on outcomes.
Right, because every human body is different.
Exactly. They aren't going to promise a specific, generalized savings amount before evaluating your unique situation. It's simply about giving you the clearest, safest path to making an informed decision about your own health.
Which is really all you can ask for when you are taking control of your medical
It
journey.
empowers the patient.
It really does. So let's summarize the journey we just took today.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. We moved from the anxiety of those endless browser tabs at 2 in the morning to discovering the incredibly high-quality, human-centric care available in Colombia
We learned about the specialized medical hubs from Bogota to Medellin.
and the strict safety metrics you absolutely need to look for, like JCI accreditation. And finally, we found a trusted platform to guide the way through all of it.
It's a complete roadmap.
So, to everyone listening, here's what you need to do next. Visit PlacidWay.com today to explore Colombia medical tourism options, compare clinics and packages, and request a personalized quote.
Take that first step. Get the information you deserve.
Exactly. Now, before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with one final, lingering thought to mull over.
I love this part.
We talk so much about the clinical outcomes, the high-tech robotics, the massive savings. But what if the future of personal health care isn't just about the technology or the bottom line?
What if it's about how you're treated as a person?
Right. What if a fundamentally warm, welcoming culture, that Khaled, as we talked about, actually changes the way our bodies heal and recover?
It's a powerful shift in perspective. You shouldn't have to sacrifice humanity for efficiency.
Exactly. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive. Start your research safely, and we will see you next time.